Hey everybody, it's BleachFan190 and welcome to my top 10 Zelda Swords. Now, you may be wondering, haven't I already seen this video? And to a point, you have. I did a top 5 Zelda Swords earlier, but when I did that list, I was a little ill-informed about the series, and I didn't know about some of the swords, so I want to take another crack at it in full top 10 glory, since I adjust my camera, sorry about that, with more knowledge of the series. So, without further ado, let's get started. Number 10, the Big Goron Sword, or Big Goron Sword, however you pronounce it. This sword, I don't like it exactly for its design or its shape or anything like that, but more for its usefulness. Its range and power makes it really helpful in the late game of Ocarina of Time, and it's just a cool sword to use. I don't know why, but for some reason I like two-handed swords. In fact, my main weapon in Skyrim is a Great Sword of Frost, so I don't know, I've just always liked broadswords and two-handed swords. So that's why this sword gets number 10 on my list. Number 9, the Great Fairy Sword. Again, a sword that I don't exactly like for its shape or design or anything, but the fact that the most powerful sword in the game can be used with other swords as your actual sword set, and that this sword could be a C button, sort of blows my mind. That's a great concept, and one that they really, in my opinion, should have used in Ocarina of Time, because it's so cool that you can use two swords almost simultaneously. And it's cool that you get it from a Great Fairy too, because I mean normally they just give you like magic upgrades or spin attack upgrades, and they're really, I don't know, sort of pointless. Number 8, the Giant's Knife, Broken. Now you might be saying to yourself right now, it's not really a sword, and you're right, it's not really a sword, it's more of a fragment of a sword. And while it's not very practical in use since its range is short and it doesn't do a whole lot of damage, or at least not as much damage as the Big Goron Sword, while still not letting you use a shield, which is a con of the Big Goron Sword, I still think it's very cool. And in fact, when I had the Giant's Knife, I was tackling the Forest Temple, and it broke in the middle of my Forest Temple run, and I just went through using the Giant's Knife broken for the majority of the dungeon, and it worked just fine for me. There's something cool about being able to use a broken sword. I think that's always a cool concept. Number 7, the Four Sword. The Four Sword. I still think it's awesome to be able to have 4 copies of yourself and a relatively cool looking sword. I mean, not to seem egotistical, but having 4 of me around, I think, would be awesome. Although some people don't agree. Number 6, the Goddess White Sword. I know, I spelled Goddess wrong, and White Sword is technically supposed to be one word, but hey, I was too lazy to change it, and it's late and I'm tired. Now, this spot on the list was a tie between the Goddess White Sword and the Goddess Long Sword. They're both pretty much the same with just different hilt colors, and this one won out because it's a reference to the second sword you get in the original Legend of Zelda called the White Sword. This sword is also, not only it looks so cool, the blade is awesome, the design on the blade is wicked, the shape of the hilt is cool, but it's also very helpful. The faster Skyward Sword time, the more dowsing ability, or faster Skyward Strike time, sorry, the more dowsing ability and the longer reach comes very much in helpful, especially during late game. Number 5, the Magic Sword. Some people call it the Magical Sword, but I'm just going to call it the Magic Sword for the intents and purposes of this list. Not only does this blade look awesome, bearing some resemblance to both the Fourth Sword and the Master Sword, but in-game it's very, very helpful. The power boost you get from this sword is almost unreal. You can tear through enemies when you have this sword, and it does require having more heart containers, but by the time you get it, you feel unstoppable. Number 4, the level 2 sword, which I've recently found out is actually called the Seashell Sword, but In the game, they never actually tell you that, and they just call it the level 2 sword in your inventory, so we're just gonna stick with that name. This sword not only looks cool and very similar to the Master Sword, but it's also very helpful. It has a longer reach, more power, and shoots lasers that look cooler than any other sword lasers to date, in my opinion. Also, if you have the red tunic in the Link's Awakening DX like I do, having the level 2 sword, it's ridiculous how fast enemies go down. You can take out most common enemies in one hit, and even most mini-bosses in just a matter of hits. It's crazy how powerful you become with this sword. It almost makes it worth having all that endless searching for seashells. Number 3, the Razor Sword. This is, without a doubt, the coolest looking Zelda sword to date. It's awesome. It's an upgrade to the Kokiri sword, which I think looks kind of lame in Majora's Mask, and not only does it do more damage, but it's one step closer to the strongest set sword in the game. The strongest sword is the Great Fairy Sword. The only reason it didn't rank higher was because it doesn't do as much damage as the Golden Sword, or the Great Golden Sword, or however you want to call it. And also, it does, after X amount of cuts, turn back to the Kokiri sword. So, it's not perfect, but it almost is. Number 2, the Locomo Sword. This sword, in my opinion, is very cool looking, even though it does sort of rip off the Master Sword's look. Also, it's very helpful. Finally having a weapon that can kill the phantoms without having to collect the Tears of Light. I say kill so weirdly because you don't really kill them or like possess them. It's just invaluable because I hated searching for all the Tears of Light before I could finally attack the phantoms. And I don't know, I really like the shape of the blade. If only they had given it to you, I don't know, sooner in the game. Okay, now before we get to number 1, let's recap. Number 10, the Bigoron Sword. Number 9, the Great Fairy Sword. Number 8, Narcel. Number 7, Force Sword. Number 6, Goddess White Sword. Number 5, Magic Sword. Number 4, Ko-Lin Master Sword. Number 3, Epicness in Physical Form. Number 2, the the Locomo Sword. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, number 1. Sorry. The Master Sword! Specifically, the Master Sword from Ocarina of Time. This sword is awesome, iconic, and useful in all of its interpretations. The Master Sword, in most interpretations, can shoot lasers, whether you're at full health or just any kind of health, which is incredibly useful, especially in A Link to the Past. It normally has a longer reach than the other swords, which is also very useful, and it's the only thing that can hurt Ganon in every game. So, it has a lot of pros and not a lot of cons. True, in Ocarina of Time, it's not the best sword by any stretch of the imagination. In most other games, it's really, really helpful to have. Also, there's something to be said about its recognizability. In fact, I'd go so far as to say that behind the Triforce is the most recognizable image from The Legend of Zelda. Show many gamers this sword and they'll know it's from Zelda. So the fact that it has so many special abilities and its recognizability earns the Master Sword the number 1 spot on my list. Okay guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you soon for another top 10, and until then, this has been BleachFan190, signing off. See you guys next time.